Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Good to you. My name is Gary, director of the Rocky Mountain Ukulele Orchestra and Jolly Roger Ukulele Orchestra. I'm going to go post a link to this broadcast on our website. The website is jollyrogerukulele.com. Today is what I consider to be the last of these, next to last of the super important things that we have to learn on ukulele, and that's how to take melody and chords and put them together at the same time. And we do that with a little tune called My Spaghetti Monster, and I wrote it years before I started teaching, and I realized when I started teaching, I was like, hey man, this is the perfect song to get people a really nice sounding tune that isn't terribly challenging to play, that'll make your ukulele sound amazing. You don't have to sing if you don't want. There's some silly words on the sheet music if you want to do those, but it's your first opportunity to have a piece of music that you don't really strum, that you don't really turn into some sort of typical ukulele experience. And so that's what we'll be working on today. I've posted the link on the website. It's working just fine. Let me go tweet out what we're up to today so that the rest of the world will know. Lesson number 13. Can you believe that? We already have 13 important concepts that we have learned. 13. My spaghetti monster! Exclamation point. And then let's put on a enter. Didn't get my little thing that pops up most of the time. Let me go grab Foundations Lesson 13. There's the little little graphic I've been using. Okay, all that looks good. My spaghetti monster! Exclamation point. All right, so there's that. Then let's close this out. If you, as you would log in, if you will let me know if the sound is good and that you can hear me, that's always important. Donna made it in today. She's a local here, fine ukulele player. And let me make sure I got all this other stuff. All right. Okay, all right, let's get started. Today we are going to be working on thinking about making this transition. Sometimes we've been playing with just straight melody. Sometimes we have been playing with chords. Now we're going to take that transition and smash them together. And so let's start on the ukulele side. The lesson will be the same for baritone, of course. And then, this is probably the only lesson that I have where it's difficult to switch to have them happen at the same time. I'm trying to think if there's any other lesson like this one where you really are going to be playing separately, because this is the first opportunity you have to play, to be the big cheese, to do all the work yourself. And so when we play with strumming and chords, you have to sing. And when we play only with melody, it feels a little bit thin unless somebody's backing us up as a duet. And when you get to chord melody, you're doing both jobs at the same time. And that's where we want everybody to be playing. Let's see. Linda made it in. Happy Colorado Spring. Sounds a little low. That's probably because this is way over there. Let me see. I think I moved it. No, maybe I just talk louder. How about that? Oh, I moved this microphone. This microphone is usually all right. So that should have shaken your speakers up pretty good. I'll talk a little louder, Linda. Rob, 68 and sunny today. Sounds good. Rain is on the way. We don't need rain right now. Rob, you just need about a week of just 80-degree weather. That's what you need. That's what you're supposed to be having, probably, right? Vic, I didn't see her earlier today. Glad you're here. Sound is good. Cloudy up in Eugene. She skipped guitar class. What the heck, Vic? Mary is in from Golden. Good to see you, Mary. And Mindy from Montana caught the lesson after class yesterday. Had to leave again in a couple minutes. We'll catch up later this afternoon. I was kind of lost yesterday. What did we work on yesterday? Hold on. Did I lose somebody? Key of C major. Yeah. Yesterday's lesson, again, we will be working a little bit more on that on Friday about the big takeaway from yesterday's lesson. C chord, A minor chord, F chord, and G chord. Those are the big takeaways. The discussion was, why do those chords exist? And we talked about C, E, G. Those three notes make up the C chord. Then we talked about D, F, and A. That makes up a D minor chord. Okay. So the notes that we studied was it Monday? The notes from Monday, we combined them into little groups that created chords, and the chords that were important yesterday, C, A minor, F, and G, will be important to you as a ukulele player the rest of your life. So yeah, I probably talked through that a little bit more detail than I needed to, but I do, because a lot of players come to this class who've taken it before, or who have a little bit of music background. You're like, I did not know that C chords came out of C, the key of C, and it includes all of the notes, some of the notes in the key of C. So it might have been a little bit more than I needed to go over, but your takeaway from it: C chord, A minor, F, and G. That's the big takeaway from yesterday. If we have time today, we'll probably play one or two songs out of there. We won't have that much time. Today, what I really want is for you to understand what's going on My Spaghetti Monster. That's what I really want you to do. Okay, and so we'll probably stay focused in on that today. Warmed up here after Snowapalooza. Now you have lakefront property. Nice. Never a bad idea to have your house on a lake, even if the lake's not supposed to be there. We'll have more and more people ending up with their houses on lakes, I'm afraid, over the next decade. Reminder, Mindy made a good point. Hey, I watched yesterday's lesson on the archives. Every one of these lessons is recorded, and multiple copies of this lesson are recorded on YouTube automatically, and so all of that stuff is sitting there. It's kind of hard to search through YouTube, but it's all up there, right? And so if you go to the archive page, you can pretty much figure out. You can go back into the archives on the Jolly Roger site, and they're all in order there, which is really a very handy thing, I think, for those of you who can't always make every single lesson, and that's okay. You do probably want to go back through and double check what you missed from the day before. Back when I was a teacher, if I could have had this system in place, it would have been a miracle, because kids come in, what did I miss yesterday? And I would have said, did you check the archives? And they'd have said no, and I said, well, you should probably do that. That would have been miraculous. All right, My Spaghetti Monster. Baritone players kind of listening in. You're going to have exactly the same program in yours. This piece of music on your page, and I'm going to make sure you have exactly the same piece I'm looking at. You do. The September 30th, 2019. This piece of music has on it Harmonica Tablature as well. So down underneath, you see the lyric line. It says, My Spaghetti Monster, my spaghetti monster playing ukulele, flying through the rainbows with my heart, blah, blah, blah. Right underneath that, you'll see some numbers. Those are for harmonica, okay? Because I use this piece of music for a lot of different things. And so you can ignore those numbers. You don't have a harmonica. You don't need it. If you do own a harmonica, you can get somebody to play along with you. Next on here, let's go through and talk about the chords here, okay? As a new player, we usually don't give you very interesting chords because it's hard work. And so this song accidentally ends up with really kind of cool chords, even though there are going to be modifications of chords you have seen in the past, but these are modifications that are going to make you look and sound much more sophisticated as a player, because these are not beginner chords by any stretch of the imagination. Welcome in, Jim, 18 degrees in Fort McMurray. Happy to see you, Jim. So your first chord is your C chord, right? We learned this one yesterday. My spaghetti monster playing ukulele. Now the next one's a C major 7. You're going to slide over here. And so instead of using your ring finger, use your middle finger to play the 2. Playing ukulele. Now listen to the big difference here. Easy to get along with chord. much more sophisticated chord. This is a major seventh. You don't get that until you're taking jazz classes in college, right? We don't give this to new players. It's too complex. Luckily on ukulele, it's easy to play. C to C major. Playing ukulele, flying through the, and then you got rainbows. It's a C6. You don't have to hold down anything. Rainbows, and then you go back to your C major with, and then a C, regular C chord. My, and then you're just going to pop your little finger, your ring finger. You're going to do a bunny hop over to this 3rd fret, 2nd string, heart. Okay, and notice on the piece of on the chord grid, there's a little miniature X on that 1st string there. So it says G/C with a little X on it. You're not supposed to play this 1st string. Okay, so let's just go through and play that just with four beats per measures. 1, 2, 3, 4. My spaghetti monster playing ukulele, flying through the rainbows with my heart. 2, 3, 4. Notice as I'm coming down, my thumb is just stopping on here, right? So that way it doesn't accidentally go off. 2, 3, 4. Tasty, oh, there's no chord here. Tasty marinara, yummy parmesan, we're pastafarians. Okay, now, first off is the chords are not that interesting in and of themselves, but they are, let me tell you a few things about these chords, why they are much more interesting than you think they are. Here's a C chord called C major, okay? That's standard issue ukulele. Next, C major 7. The jazz chord, very beautiful. And by the way, baritones, you guys are in G, of course. You got this nice, deep, beautiful, complex 4-note chord. Okay. Then you get a C6 chord, which we don't run into a lot of 6th chords in music, but is very common in Polynesian and Hawaiian music. That's why ukulele really works well with this. Is you get it's a great 6th chord instrument, and so you'll see a lot more 6th chords in the music you play than in the music of other instruments, because it just doesn't come up that much. That's a kind of a unique tone. Then we go back to your major 7th, that jazz chord. Then back to the major chord. And here's some, those of you guys who are rock and rollers, remember back when you were teenagers and you bought an electric guitar and you don't know what happened to that electric guitar, but it's not around anymore. This chord here is technically it's a G chord, but it has a C in the bass. So you get this very unique sound. What's nice about these 3 strings here together are actually represent a rock power chord. In other words, in rock and roll on an electric guitar, there's only C notes and there's only G notes in it, so it's actually a C power chord. It's serving in the function in this song as a G chord with a C in the bass, but in electric guitar world, that's just a C power chord. And the nice part about power chords is when they go down in the amplifier, there's only 2 notes that don't compete with one another. They complement each other, and so you get these very strong, stable, rock and roll type feeling chords coming out of your amplifier. And anytime you see a power chord, we don't really talk about them in ukulele because we don't need to, but in beginning electric guitar, power chords are a big deal because there's so much nonsense that electric guitars send into amplifiers. They sound terrible. You got to know how to stop it and all this stuff. But if you play power chords, you don't have that problem. It's just these beautiful, solid, heavy-duty, hanging around type chords that are pretty easy to manipulate. And so that's what you got going on here. So you've got a major chord, a major 7th chord, a Hawaiian chord, and a rock power chord. So you've got a pretty sophisticated chord palette, even though in and of itself it doesn't sound that fancy. Marilyn says, what are you doing with the G/C chord on major 8? That's exactly what we're talking about here. So I'm putting my ring finger, instead of on here, I'm putting it right there. And then and I'm just bringing my thumb down over those 3 strings, and then I'm not playing the 4th string. I'm letting my thumb stop there. Okay, so that's what's going on there. C chord with a G in it, or a G chord with a C in it, depending on how you think about it. It's just very stable. You can picture that, if you had long hair and a microphone, screaming over the top about long lost love. It sounds pretty unique on this instrument. Now, those are your chords. In and of themselves, not that interesting. My spaghetti monster playing ukulele. That's kind of interesting. Flying through the rainbows with my heart. Wang. Tasty marinara, yummy parmesan. We're Pastafarians. Okay, and you can hear that weird power chordy feel finally resolving itself at the end of the song with a regular C. Okay, so the G/C, in your real life when you run across this, and if you go buy books at the music store, I don't recommend you do that because they're written for a different intention. But if you did go buy one, you went, oh, I love Dan Fogerty or Creedence Clearwater Revival. I need to play my Creedence Clearwater Revival. You go and there's all these goofy chords in there, and those goofy chords are what the professionals play to create a different coloring on their chord, and then you think that that's a chord you're going to need to know. It's not. It's specific to that song, and you'll see a lot of slash chords. And what's really going on with a slash chord is it's a G chord, but the bass player is supposed to be playing a C there, and so it creates this unique sound. For us as ukulele players, that's a G chord. Okay, don't lose too much sleep over it. It's a G chord, but in this case, it's unique because the bass is anything after a slash is what the bass player is supposed to be playing. And you can do it on a guitar. You can do it kind of on a ukulele, and we don't really have bass notes on here, but we modify this in certain instances. We modify this to allow a bass note to happen on this 3rd string, and that's what's going on here. Now, those are your chords. Don't lose sleep over the chords. The only chord here that really matters is C major. The other ones are modifications of a C chord, and you don't want to lose too much sleep like, oh, I need to know that. No, you don't need to know the names of this stuff. That's just what's going on here with the shapes. Now, you've learned your chords, and if you had to sing this song, you could, right? One maybe not the greatest song ever written, okay, but we're going to get it there, okay? Next thing. The melody. Let's take a look at the melody. Look at what's going on in ukulele melody line. 0, 0, 0, 0. We like that. Okay. Hopefully that takes you back to day 1 with Frere Jacques. We're going to hit a 0 on the 3rd string, and then a 2nd string, and then the 3rd string, and then the 2nd string, and then I got 2 3s on the 1st string, playing with your ring finger. Okay. And I got some more zeros. We like those. I'm going to change out and play with the 2. Some more zeros. Oh, I like this song pretty much. Then zeros on the 1st string. Then a 2. Then a 3. I'm going to use the phrase bunny hop. Okay, we're going to on here just do a little bunny hop over to the next string, and then hit a 3 on the 2nd string. Okay. Now, measure 9 is probably the hardest measure to get in your head wrapped around. You're on this 3 on this 2nd string. Your next note's just a 1 on that same string. So just put your 1 down and then lift this up just a little bit. And then a 0. And then a 2 on the 3rd string. And then a 0. And then take your ring finger back to where it was before and put the 2 3s on the 2nd string. Okay, and then the same exact thing happens here. 1 0 2 0 3 3. 1 0 2 0 3 3. And then a little bit of difference here. Same 1 0 2 is the same. 1 0 2. Now instead of going to an open note here, we're going to go back to that 3 on the 2nd string, and then bunny hop to the 1st string. Okay, so that's your melody. We're going to play through that a few times here to get you comfortable with it. Baritone players, just kind of hanging out, listening, okay, making sure that you have a general sense of what's going on with yours. You are in a different key, and if you play along with me, it'll sound kind of wonky, but we'll clean it up here when I pull up and get my baritone out. Okay, let's play from the top, the 0, 0. Let's just go one measure at a time to make sure you know what you're doing. Okay, so get the zeros, and you just use your thumb on the entire song. O, 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 and then 3s. Then O, 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 O. 2s. Some more O's. A couple more O's. 2, 3, bunny hop. Okay, I'm going to let that go for a little while. It's one note, the whole measure. Now 1, O, 2, O. Couple 3s. 1, O, 2, O. 3, 3. 1, O, 2, 3, bunny hop. Bunny hop. Okay. Now, that's the melody, right? In and of itself, it's okay. It's fine, right? We're about to turn it in this song. So we got chords that are kind of interesting. They're fine. We got a melody. It's kind of interesting. It's fine. Okay. Now we're going to combine all of that stuff and make it into something miraculous. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to play that same exact melody. Let's do the melody one more time. I want to just play it a little bit more steady, and I'm not going to say anything. Okay. I'll keep my mouth shut. We'll play it all the way to the bottom. Well, I'm going to count out measure 8 to make sure you're understanding that measure 8. There's a whole note sitting there. See the big circle up in the chords and lyric line? That big circle says, hey, I am a whole note. I am worth 4 beats. You're only going to do just hit that 3 and let it ride for 4 beats. That's when I will talk. Here we go. From the top. 1, 2, ready, play. Oh, 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 3. 3, oh, 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 2, 2, oh, 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 2, 3, 3, 1, oh, 2, oh, 3, 3, 1, oh, 2, oh, 3, 3, 1, oh, 2, 3, 3. Beautiful, right? So so as we start to play the melody as one consistent long thing, you're like, all right, I'm starting to understand what's moving on in the melody. The song I have never heard before, starting to make at least internally it makes sense. I forgot when I got to measure 8 after making a big deal out of it. When you get to my measure 8, oh, oh, 2, 3, 3, and in your head you're supposed to count 2, 3, 4, right? Don't tap your foot because that looks weird. You can maybe hear it in your body. 2, 3, 4. Just make sure you don't come in early on measure 9. Now let's go through it one more time. But this time, take a look at the tough uke line. Okay, it's identical in every single way to the melody line, with one exception. Every other measure in the beginning, and yeah, about every other measure or so, you're going to be strumming down with your thumb until you hit whatever string is the last string it says to hit. Okay, and where that will matter at measure 8. Notice measure 8 says, hey, you're gonna play 0, 0, 3. Your 3 has been there all along, but you're just not going to play that first string. And here's an essential piece of advice. It's called rest stroke. When your thumb is coming down, at measure 8, you're not going to play that first string. You're not going to play it. So your thumb actually just sits and rests on it like it's on a hammock, right? Just that way there's no possibility it's going to go off, and you're not doing one of these deals where you're trying to avoid it, okay? You're going to own the fact that you're not going to play it. So in rest strokes, your thumb will rest on the string you're not going to play. Okay, there's rest strokes going down with your thumb. There's also rest strokes coming up with your other fingers. We'll do very little with rest strokes coming up until you're a pretty advanced player. Mostly we use it going with our thumb going down all of the time on ukulele. Okay, so there's that. That will happen at measure 8, measure 10, and measure 12. Okay, you're only going to play 3. Otherwise, all the way down. Okay, so put your finger on 3. That's going to be the first thing you need to do at measure 2. Let's play just as we did with melody, except dragging your thumb down. Ready? Go. Oh, 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 strum. Then oh, oh, oh. Change out for your 2. Do that again. Oh, 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 oh. Strum all the way down. All zeros, strum all the way again. Put your 2 on, hit your 3, and then bunny hop to the 3, and now you do the rest stroke. Thumb is hanging out on the first string. Okay, that's worth 4 beats that measure. Let it go for a while. Now let's play. 1, 0, 2, 0, and then a little strum, 0, 0, 3. And again, 1, 0, 2, 0. 3, and then one more time, 1020. Get to the 3, bunny hop to the other 3, and then nice string. Okay, what you're doing is you're taking the melody and then you're just decorating it with the chord underneath, and then you'll see that little wiggly next to all thing. That's a glissando. You guys have run into that once already, but the idea is, hey, I want to hear every string. I don't want you to do this. Here's what I don't want. That's not what we want. Okay, you'll do that eventually, but not now. Okay, you can hear every string, okay? And not too slow. Don't go. Right, it's in between those two. That's glissando. You're making this sort of this cascading waterfall of sound. Okay. Ukulele players, keep playing. Baritone players, let's go through and make sure we have exactly the same thing. You're in the key of G, of course. Okay, so let's play. Just play the melody first. Oh, 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 3, 3. Oh, 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 2, 2. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, 2, 3. Bunny hop to the other 3. Let that go for 4 beats, and then go. 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 3. 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 3. 1, 0, 2, 3, 3. Okay, now go back through and look at the tough ukulele. You'll play exactly, everything's going to be exactly the same. The only difference is you're dragging your thumb down when you see the glissandos show up. So from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Strokes in measures 8, 10, and 12 are really, really critical, right? To make sure you don't accidentally have this string go off, just have your thumb sit on there. Now, wrapping it up. If you are a singer, when you play melody on an instrument, you don't sing, okay? You let the instrument do the singing for you. When you're playing chords, that's when you sing, okay? When you play tough uke, you also generally don't sing. Now, I'm going to do it here right now on this relatively simple song, but typically if there's melody coming out of your instrument, you're not going to need to sing. That's the purpose of playing it in this style. For those of you who like singing, you're also going to be studying well, all of us need to make sure we know all of our chords because they're going to come up as instrumentalists. But singers, when you're working with melody, let the instrument do the work. When you're ready to do your singing, then you switch and you stay focused in on the chords. And you'll know all of the lessons from here out. This lesson is unique in that with sort of 4 baritone and then 4 ukulele, and they don't really cross over. But everything else as we go through the rest of the program, when we're working on chords, that's when your singers will jump in. And when you're working on melody or tough uke or chord melody, you won't be singing. Okay? We're going to do the baritone version first, and then we'll do the ukulele version to wrap up. Okay? From the top, I'm going to give you the full shebang. Okay? You're playing along with me, baritone players, ukulele players. You're going to be next. 1, 2, 3, 4. My spaghetti monster playing ukulele, flying through the rainbows with my heart. 2, 3, 4. Tasty marinara, yummy parmesan, we're Pastafarians. Isn't that lovely? Chords themselves, they're okay. They're kind of interesting. Melody, it's fine. Kind of moves around a little bit. Put them together, and you actually have something that's really beautiful. What I like to tell people is, and I'm kind of serious about it, there's going to come a point when somebody says, hey, I found out you're taking ukulele lessons. Play me something. That's the phrase we live in terror of as new players and new musicians. Play me something. They're only going to want to hear one song. And you probably, if you're a singer, maybe you belt out of your version of Danny Boy, right? But if you're not a singer, you got to play something for them. My Spaghetti Monster. Here's why. Sounds amazing. Sophisticated chord palette. Lovely melody. Silly words. If you decide to sing, do it. If don't really have to sing it. They don't know how it goes, so they can't sing along with you. That's always death for a new musician. As you start singing, you start doing Three Blind Mice, and everybody starts singing along, and you're like, oh God, now I have to keep up with them, and your brain starts to shut down. They don't know this song, and that means 1, they're not going to sing along with it, and 2, in the event that you made a mistake, they wouldn't know. They'll probably know because the mistake you make will be like clank, but you get away with more mistakes potentially. And then the third thing here is this is a song that's really easy to memorize, and so if you take it in little blocks, 2 measures at a time, you will be able to memorize this thing right away. And now you have a song. You have your first memorized song, and you should have. I always tell people they need 3 songs memorized. 1, in case somebody asks. 2, to force it on them, right? You want to force a second memorized song on them that you're really proud of. And then 3, if it's your mom, right? Your mom will let you play 3 songs. Nobody else will ever let you play 3 songs. I've been playing lots and lots of years, and the only times I ever get to play more than 1 song is when I'm in concert, and that doesn't come up all that much as a solo ukulele player, unless you're a pro, and even then it doesn't come up that much. So you need 3 memorized songs. This should be your first one, right? Just get it over and done with. Let's go ahead and grab the ukulele version of this. We'll walk through it, make sure that that's all making sense for you, and then I'm going to turn you loose to get started working on this one. This is a song that I feel like set you up foundationally for every single thing else we do. After this song, there's only one thing else that we have to really dig into, and that is arpeggios, and you will get that. I think it's next week you guys get that stuff. So let's go through My Spaghetti Monster for ukulele from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. My spaghetti monster playing ukulele, flying through the yummy Parmesan, we're Pastafarians. Right? Isn't that lovely? If somebody asks you to play that, now you have something. Hey, play me something. I hear you taking ukulele. Play me something. Look at them, a little showbiz. Like, aren't you having a good time? And then you're like, man, you're a really good player. Why don't you teach me how to play? And you say, I can do that. Let's get started. Here's Frere Jacques. Clonk. And you get started teaching him how to play. I think you've made it this far. Okay? You've got a general sense of how chords work. You got a general sense about picking out individual melodies. Now we're taking the chords and the melody and smashing them together and arranging them on the paper in a creative way. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of your days in ukulele. And you're going to be amazed at how quickly now we move into the next phase of study in ukulele. Tomorrow we take Three Blind Mice, which you're like, well, when I bought a ukulele, Three Blind Mice was not the top song on my list of things I wanted to learn how to play. We don't care about the song, you care about the skill set. So tomorrow we're going to again take more thumb down. Tomorrow we really work on rest stroke. We really want to make sure that you're understanding that as clearly as you can. We're only going to use a C chord. The whole song is in C, or G chord for baritone. And then on Friday, remember, we have our end of the week concert. So I want you to be making sure every day doing this Make a Better bar, because we got to get this hand strong. We're going to be using those bars. We'll play through your major scales for both ukulele and baritone. We will play My Spaghetti Monster, and then we'll also play Three Blind Mice on Friday, and then we'll wrap up the day going through the strumming in the key of C major. So we'll play Kookaburra, and we'll play This Little Light of Mine, and Oh Danny Boy, and I don't remember what the other song is on that paper, but we'll play all of those as well. And so Friday we'll be kind of busy sort of wrapping up week 2 of your foundations program. And honestly, that's the end of it, right? After that, then we start just continuing to refine your skill set. The next week with Brahms Lullaby, Yankee Doodle, and Amazing Grace. Those are going to continue to refine your chord melody playing and make you sound amazing. And then it is next week that you get introduced to arpeggios, and that's really the last essential foundational skill that you'll have. We'll talk about different keys and that sort of stuff over the next couple of weeks, but you're getting really, really close to having the basic knowledge set that you're going to need to play ukulele at a very high level. And so, unless there are questions, that's all I know about ukulele for today. I would say right now, the things you really want to be good at, playing for a Jacques, playing your C scale, the major C scale, and playing Spaghetti Monster. Those three pieces of paper are going to take you the farthest of anything we do. Yeah, singing and strumming is something you have to be able to do as a ukulele player, because you're going to run into other ukulele players, and that's how they all play. But we want to take you beyond that, and the way you get beyond that is by shutting off your face and getting your fingers to do the talking for you, and then you have a lifelong activity. Most of the players that I work with that have gotten to who are into it, they've been hanging around. We've been hanging around for a decade now, doing this exact stuff, and every day is something more exciting and more fun. So hopefully it's going well. Obviously, you have my email address if you're starting to panic, like, I don't know if I know what he's talking about. I would not panic until we get closer to the end of the 6-week program, and then if things are still not coming together, I still wouldn't panic. I would just take this again. And a lot of you guys are taking this either their second or third time through, starting to probably feel like review, like, oh yeah, he's got this thing for Spaghetti Monster. I don't understand it, but that the song is actually coming out of your ukulele. You're also hopefully getting into the place where you've made enough mistakes and you've goofed up enough notes now where you realize It doesn't matter at all. No, making mistakes is irrelevant. What matters is your willingness to go beyond those mistakes and just keep going forward. Every professional that I know will tell you the same thing. Yeah, I make mistakes, lots of them. Made a billion in my life, but I ended up a professional musician anyway, and that's because they just kept going, right? And so when you make mistakes or something terrible sounds out of your ukulele, you don't lose sleep over it. You just keep going and you go back. Then you go back and try to figure out, why did I make that mistake there? And so make lots of mistakes. It'll turn you into a great player. That's it. That's all I know. I'm going to pull the plug. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Remember, you're doing a random act of kindness at some point this week, trying to find somebody to do something kind and sweet for. The second thing you're trying to do is be safe. I know we got vaccines going into arms at a whatever pace they can, I guess. You're practicing. I would practice Spaghetti Monster. I would practice Frere Jacques. I would practice looking through the stuff you've done. Coming up on Friday, remember, you have a concert. You want to be getting ready for it. You want to know how to play those songs by Friday, and keep showing up here. That's the difference between the players who are going to be good and the players who are not going to, who are going to end up doing something different. Who are going to take up crochet or something. They just stop showing up. That's the only difference between the players that are really good and the players who didn't keep going. Their willingness to show up. That's the hard part. And if you are logged into YouTube or Gmail, if you will subscribe, click the subscribe and like button. That apparently helps me out. And that's it. That's all I know. Next hour, we're working on some Irish music, I think. Let me go double check that I'm not lying to you. Next hour we have Molly Malone and Whiskey in the Jar. Molly Malone is super sweet, super beautiful song. You guys could probably play the melody right now. The chords are not terribly difficult on it, so it'd be fun to have you guys come join us. And then the next hour, and then the other song is Whiskey in the Jar, which a lot of you guys have been seeing the TikTok videos of them doing pirate songs and that sort of thing. The Whiskey in the Jar has that sensibility about it, and so that would be a fun one. It's a little harder to play, but it's a little bit more fun to play too. So come hang out with us and work on those two songs with us. All right, I'll see all of you guys either later today or tomorrow, and I'm going to pull the plug. You guys have a wonderful day. Vic, thanks for being here. Let's see, Marilyn, Mindy, Mary, good to see you. Rob, you're welcome. Let's get Rob dried out down there. They had a heck of a month. And Jim, good to see you. But Jim, one of your friends from the Calgary Club, sent me an email. He says you talked him into checking me out, so I think that's exciting. John, I want to say it's John, sent me an email, so I was super excited about that. Linda, good to see you. Is that everybody that checked in with me today? That is. All right. That's it. I'm pulling the plug. I'm rambling at this point. Have a great day. Yanking the string.